Hi, I'm Shayna, and I'm here to review The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 14, Episode 14. And if you're new, please be sure to subscribe, like the videos, comment. I'm trying to grow my channel so we can grow this together, but I need you to subscribe to the channel and like the videos. Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and get right into it, okay? So we start off the episode with Sonya. She's arriving in the hotel lobby at 7:45 a.m. They're getting a early start to the day. 7:50, Sheree strolls in. Everyone else is still getting ready. They're supposed to be meeting in the lobby at 8. It's 7:50 when Sheree strolls in. So they show Candy bending a tie, saying she's still frustrated with Marlo from the night before when they had the argument at dinner. Um, Todd is just, going back and forth with her, saying Marlo's just trying to get you upset. At 8:05, Drew strolls in, so she's 5 minutes late. Sonya stressed that she likes to be on time. At least she wasn't too bad. The rest of the cast starts arriving. It looks like Sonya had a jersey, an Olympic jersey for Drew. So she got something specially made for her. She was really excited to give it to her. Drew said in the confessional, "Oh, Sonya, we know you're always showing off your medals. Now you have this jersey. We know you won races. But we're not going to diminish her accolades on her trip. This trip is about Sonya. So we're not going to just diminish it like, oh, we know you're always bragging about winning those races. I'd be bragging too if I was a 4-time Olympic gold medalist. If I'm saying that correctly, I would be bragging as well. I mean, can you do it? We're going to find out soon. So Marlo apologized to Drew and Ralph. Drew accepts the apology while they're sitting on the bus. Candy is eating on the bus. We all know she loves to eat. So as usual, she's eating and she's letting Sonya know that Kenya may not make it on the bus. She was saying she was tired from the night before. She didn't eat. She didn't eat breakfast. Sheree makes a comment like, okay, she might have been with John last night. Who knows what they were doing? So I don't think she was with John last night. I think that Kenya doesn't care for Sonya and she didn't care to show up on time and she didn't care about her events. I think she just didn't care and she was just going to get there when she got there. She didn't care if she was holding anybody up because she doesn't care for Sonya. Everyone's on the bus waiting and waiting and waiting. And by 8:30, Sonya is reaching out to Kenya again. She reached out to her the first time, and Kenya's looking out at the balcony, opening the windows, and saying, "Oh, so beautiful," just strolling around. And so Sonya tried to call her. She didn't answer, so she texted her and said, "We can't wait anymore. We're about to leave." So Kenya said, "Oh, that's fine. I'll meet y'all there." So she didn't seem to be bothered at that point. I know Sonya was pretty upset because she said everything needed to be on time, and you know, but when you have a group of people, you can't expect everyone to be on time. So, I would expect for some people to be late a half hour and people are waiting on you and you're just looking out the balcony. Now, that was rude and that was straight disrespectful. And I've been liking Kenya this season, but I didn't like that at all. So Sonya takes everyone to Kingston. They visit her childhood home in her neighborhood. She sees a few people in the neighborhood. One woman in particular was her aunt that, a play aunt that was so excited to see her. Everyone around loves her. They know her. She comes back frequently, so they still see her. So they were happy to do that. She was happy to show off where she comes from because this is her home. They stopped for ice cream. Marlo and Sheree are on one side talking about what happened. Candy and Mayetta and their husbands are on another side talking about what happened at the dinner the night before. But I was confused. I mean, I know we have to talk about it again, but why were they sitting there asking questions like, well, what happened? Well, tell me what went wrong? Well, where did it escalate? I want to know detail for detail. Y'all was sitting there start to finish. You know what happened. Especially over there with Candy and them, because Candy was explaining it to her, as if Manietta just wasn't there at all. Like, Alicia Ray was like, I was surprised to see y'all getting into it like that. But Manietta's like, oh, what happened? And Candy's explaining Did you forget that Manetta was in attendance? Like, I mean, we know what happened. A quick little recap would have been fine. We don't got to jump into it like we're hearing this story for the very first time. That was, that had to be production. So after that, um, Kenya arrives and they're still eating the ice cream. Kenya arrives and she is 2 hours late. Two hours late. I'm gonna had to get with Miss Kenya by the end of the episode because I wasn't feeling it. So Sonya pulls her to the side, as she could have done with Drew when she wanted to have issues with her. But whatever, she knows who to do it with. She do that stuff with Drew, but she don't do it with Kenya. So she pulled Kenya to the side and was like, why are you not showing up to my events on time? If this was the other way around, I would show up to your events on time. So Kenya says, I've shown up to everything else you had on time. And, they roll the tapes back and she's been late to everything. Sonya hasn't asked him to come to much. So the few times she's asked him to show up for something, Kenya has been late. She was late an hour for the dinner just the night before. So Kenya starts talking about Brooklyn and Mark and their strained relationship, and she starts crying. And Sonya's just like, yeah. But in her confessional, she's like, okay, every time I come to you with something, an issue I'm having with you, you start talking about Mark, and she likes to bring up baby Brooklyn. And it's like, we understand that you're going through something, but that cannot be your go-to. You're shedding tears about this. Like, we understand this has been going on for a while. It's stressful. But when she brings up Mark and their divorce, it's like, come on. You have really literally been spending more time on this divorce than the actual marriage. Probably spent more time on this divorce than they've known each other in general. But I digress. I will say she, likes to bring that up. It's sad, but that's not a good enough reason to be 2 hours late. And what did that have to do? You weren't crying when you were looking out at the balcony. You were enjoying and then you're zen and just strolling around and taking your time. Didn't look hungry and didn't look like you were upset. And baby Brooklyn isn't even there. Well, she might be there. She didn't mention she was there this time. She normally says Brooklyn's there. She didn't make mention of Brooklyn this time, so I'm assuming she was back at home with the nanny or in another room or something. Either way, stop, Kenya. You were late because you was just late. You can say, I'm not a morning person. It's a little bit too early for me. I tried. Sorry. But don't sit up here and do that. Don't do that. So they go ahead and get to the track. Once they get to the track, we know that Marlo and Drew are having a race competition on the track today. So that was one of the main things that they wanted to do. Everybody's getting excited. They're getting ready. Sonya asked Drew to put that jersey on. She does. And so just by landslide, Marlo actually wins. Drew, I don't know if they were saying, oh, it's close. They were trying to figure out who won because Drew started getting excited and jumping around. I don't know why, because she lost. So I don't know what was said, but she started, running again and fell down and it looked like she hurt herself. Sonya acts like, are you okay? But she didn't seem all that concerned. And I'm like, are you going to, I would have expected a little more concern when she was asking if she was okay. That's just me. But she asked if she was okay. They were waiting for a minister to come. The minister went and checked on Drew. She said, I'll get you, the best doctors and the best hospital in Jamaica. So Drew was saying she thinks she tore her Achilles. She had an issue with her other leg last year. So Drew, stay off those legs. She was beating herself up, saying, I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. Who would have predicted that this would have happened? And it's just so sad that it's happening while you're on vacation and now you're stuck and room bound because you can't get around. But I would be on them crutches still getting out and about. Forget that. Sonya tells Kenya and Sheree while they're on the bus, they find out that it is confirmed that Drew did rupture her Achilles. So she's going back to the room. The day is done. They're on the bus going back to the hotel. On the ride, that's when Sonya tells Kenya and Sheree, she's like, I know y'all are into fitness, so if you want to come to the iFit event, it leaves at 9:30 a.m. And everybody else, we have other activities that y'all can do. So Marlo, I don't even remember her talking to Marlo, but Marlo was the only one that was on time. Marlo and her guests. And can we just say this? Why was Sonya so adamant about somebody bringing the plus one? I haven't seen anything. We're getting, midway in the trip, and I haven't seen any activities where a plus one was needed. They weren't doing group activities where you just had to have a partner. So I didn't see the stress and them bringing someone. Half of the people that they brought with them. I mean, even Manetta, I don't remember hearing her say anything besides when she was talking to Candy all episode. But I guess they just had to, have something, some kind of confrontation for the show because it made no sense for Kenya to have had somebody. And we haven't heard from John since. So, like I said, last review, come on. Where did John come from? He back in England wherever he came from. He was just there for the scene and for the day, and he got his check and he bounced. So at 9:50, mind you, they're supposed to leave at 9:30. 9:50, Kenya's calling the front desk. I guess she's trying to figure out where they are. She finds out they were gone. So, and on the other side, Candy is going with Drew. Their husbands are going to the gym. So Candy said, "Hey Drew, can you run through these lines with me?" So Drew was like, I'm bored. I tore my Achilles. My Achilles is ruptured, so I'm just sitting here. So I'd love to. So we know Drew can get to rambling, and that's fine. There's a lot of long-winded people out there. I try to catch myself every now and again. So she's trying to help her, and Drew has acted before. We've seen her on previous shows, especially if you watch the game. So let's not act like every time Drew does anything, they just don't want to give her any credit, as if she's just has no talent whatsoever. She just fell from the sky onto the show. Obviously, she had to have done something to be on the show. I mean, y'all give more accolades and props to Sheree, but I won't go there. But let's not keep doing Drew like this. Come on now, you asked Drew for help. You know she rambled. So when she started getting into, she was giving good advice. And Candy started rolling her eyes. I guess it was just too lengthy for her. And then they began to talk about what happened with, Sonya and everything like that. And with Marlo. And they were saying how Marlo's being, she's fake, basically. And they were saying Marlo's fake. And we already know that. That's no secret. We've known that long before she got this speech. So Kenya, Sheree, and her friend, Manetta and her husband go on the catamaran. I think they looked like they had a great time, but I was just wondering, and I'm not gonna say Manetta should have just been like, husband, stay back in the room, but it seemed like more like a girls' trip, especially later on when they got to dancing and stuff, and it was just kind of like Manetta's husband was just there. And it's like, hey, you can stay back a little for this one time and let us go and go with the guys. So, we don't have to, while they busting it wide open over there, I don't got to be like, hey, now my husband's sitting over here. But that's just me. So while they're on the catamaran, Kenya begins to mock Sonya, and I cannot stand when she does that fake Jamaican accent. I know she just gets to mock people. She don't care or whatever, but she was doing it before, her Science started rubbing her the wrong way. So I just wish she would stop doing that. And it's kind of rude, especially it's not good. I know Kenya acted in some, straight to DVD movies and everything, but that accent is awful and she needs to stop doing that. Especially like the way she's doing it. It's giving Mean Girl. I haven't been feeling Sonya the last couple of episodes. I feel like she's been giving Mean Girl as well, but mocking her was just unnecessary and it wasn't funny. So Kenya asked Sheree about She by Sheree. I don't know why. I don't care. We've lost interest. I don't even know why Sheree is back on the show. Everybody's so concerned about, Marlo needs to leave. Sheree can go with her. She doesn't have any storyline. This is about her third time coming back in nothing. I don't want to hear about your joggers. I don't want to hear about whatever you got going on. You don't want to say you're having a fashion show because that might be too high expectations. You should have high expectations after almost 20 years. We don't care. I actually have other ideas for things that Sheree could do that makes sense because she doesn't want to do this, but Sheree just got a lazy bone. She don't want to work. So Kenya said she can model for Sheree, and she starts doing splits and tricks and flips all on the floor of the catamaran. Next thing you know, Manietta starts busting it wide open and starts shaking it fast. And I'm like, what is happening here? So Sheree was like, Kenya, your modeling days, your video vixen days are over. Kenya still look good now, but this is not a video shoot. This is a fashion show with no fashions. How dreadful. So they're going to the next scene. They go into the dinner. While as they're walking to the dinner, I believe it's Sheree. I didn't write this down. Sheree, and friend Marlo and Sonya and her husband. And they're walking, and Sheree is letting her know that she was basically offended that she got left behind when they were going to the iFit event. And Sonya's like, I said you had to be there at 9:30. And Sheree said she was there at 9:30. But again, they rolled back, and Sheree and her friend were on the beach at 9:30. So it wasn't like you was asleep. You were up, you were out and about, you just didn't care, and you wanted to play victim. I don't even remember her being around Kenya when at least Kenya tried to call and figure out where they were. So Sheree did absolutely nothing. She just heard Kenya say, "Oh, we got left," and she just jumped on her coattail. Was like, "Oh yeah, I was trying to go too." Girl, no, you wasn't. Stop it. But she liked to lie. Anyway, so Sonya was like, "I was busy. I was working. Okay, sorry, but this trip is not about y'all. You try to make it about you, it ain't about you. Period." So they get to the dinner, everybody looks good, they're, feeling good. Candy asks Ralph to read an excerpt from his book, and he happily obliges. He jumps right up, pulls his phone out, he has it ready. Drew gets emotional, and she's so happy, and I'm like, girl, I would have been internally pissed because just 2 episodes ago, you asked to hear anything from this book. Even a thought or idea that you might put into something. She had nothing. He wouldn't tell her anything. But Candy asks, and you just jump right up and do it. Like, I can't stand how he treats his wife. But, it was nice. What he was saying was nice. And I actually would be interested to read the book. It's nice to hear from a male's perspective. But if you're going to be writing a book about parenting, I wish, even though Josiah is a child, we would have got a little feedback from that. We keep talking about the boy like I want to hear from the child. I mean, he's not a baby. He's a little bit older. I don't know. So I heard Marlo saying Sonya's name. Sonya's name is Sonya, isn't it? Because Marlo's the only one saying Sanya, but Marlo can't even pronounce her own name correctly. That's just something that I noticed, and I'm like, I've been listening to people's reviews, and they switching it up, and everybody confused. Honey, you're gonna be Sonya till I hear further. So while in the midst of Drew expressing, how she's feeling about the excerpt that Ralph read, how it touched her, Kenya and Sheree are rudely whispering right across from them. Like, it's not like I were way down at the other end of the table, directly across, whispering about Sonya saying that she was busy working and, talking about the conversation they had on the walk to the dinner. And so Kenya was like, "Oh, what?" She said, "What?" And everybody's like, "Huh? What?" So Kenya just starts talking to Sonya. I'm like, we gonna stop treating Drew like this. Stop treating Drew like this. Can't even have her moment. Excuse me. Oh. That's what I get for talking about people. I choked in mid-video. That's what I get. But I'm gonna speak my opinion anyway. So Kenya, confronts Sonya, and she's like, "Okay, this is how you treat your guests. I called you. You didn't check on us all day." And Tanya was like, "I was busy. I expected for you to be doing other things. I mean, I can't stop what I'm doing." And they were like, "You don't get a break from work." You think the first thing I'm thinking, okay, so let me say this. Ordinarily, yes, the first thing I would be thinking is, let me make sure my guests are comfortable. Let me make sure my guests are okay. And I don't want to get too far off, but Kenya, just South Carolina last year alone, when you got that lone crab cake and didn't offer anybody anything. Come on. Kenya has probably been the worst host I can think of out of the franchises when it comes to these events. She's terrible every time. And I've been watching since season one. So I really had to dig back into my memory, but ever since they started doing these group trips, which is from the beginning, she's probably been the worst one. Last year, that was awful. I mean, to get food for yourself delivered was just straight rude. She didn't check on anybody, didn't care that people were hungry, nothing. But you turn around, oh, you didn't check on me all day. You knew she was going to be working today, and this is about her. You were late. And then you get upset and say, oh, I tried to call, I tried to reach out. I'm I I'm indifferent because I see where Kenya's coming from. Yes, the host should be a good host regardless. It's your trip, so you should host no matter what. But at the same time, Kenya has been consistently disrespectful, has no regard for anybody else's time, especially Sonya, since she's planning all the activities on her trip. She knew she had to work today. Did you ask how that went? Nothing. She said she lost her phone. Oh, well, you could have asked to use somebody else's. Listen, I'm not doing all that, okay? I know you're safe. You're a grown woman. You're at the resort. There's other people there. She assumed you weren't going to come. She said, if you feel free, if you want to come, and if you don't, you can go on the catamaran. So if she didn't see you, she assumed you weren't coming. You called her. She probably said, oh, okay, well, I'll just get back to you when I have time or talk to you at the dinner because you've been consistently coming late. Not only that, every time y'all go to this woman's house or anything that she has, you're disrespecting her. You're disrespecting the food, calling the beef patties dry, talking about the Stella Rosa. I mean, y'all just complain about everything that she does, knowing that this is her first season. She might be feeling overwhelmed and don't want to deal with it. I honestly felt like Tanya probably feels like, well, you've been disrespecting me in my time, so I don't care to reach back out to you. I'll talk to you when I talk to you. I was busy making a coin. The real reason she was there for iFit, not Real Housewives. So she just says, she was busy working, and then Sheree chimes in about what she said earlier, and Sheree already heard you when you said it the first time. So then her husband, Sonia's husband, Ross, jumps up and says, I don't do this. Y'all not gonna F with my wife. And I've seen a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people are saying, I would want my husband to defend me or protect me. More people are saying that Ross needs to stay out of women's business. Is giving Peter Thomas, you want a peach. I think it might be the way Ross chimed in, like his delivery was all off and rubbed people the wrong way. I think he jumped in because he might have felt like, they were tag teaming her because it was Kenya yelling, Sheree was jumping in. It was 2-on-1. So Sonya's trying to defend herself. Kenya's getting loud. He knows his wife. Maybe he felt like, okay, this might be, I need to step in. But he shouldn't be talking to women in that way, especially nobody was, cursing or anything. So that was quite uncalled for. He didn't have to stand up. That was just unnecessary. He could have been like, hey, let's tone it down. Hey, let's be respectful to the host. She still is a host. So I think there was another way he could have went about, making his statement without it coming off the way that it did. And I don't want to say the A word. I don't like using that word when it comes to, these types of situations because people like to just take it to the extreme. I think that he felt like he was doing the right thing. He's probably used to being her protector. So because of the fact that it was women, he could have scaled back a little bit and the tone could have been different. But otherwise, we'll see what happens next week. The episode ends there. So it's going to pick back up where it left off, I'm sure, next week. And we'll find out what's going to happen. Whew, all season, this is the first season where I've really actually been liking Kenya. But I don't know, I kind of wasn't feeling her all too much on tonight's episode. And I was actually feeling Sonya a little bit more. Sonya seems nice, but I don't know if she's a good fit with the ladies. And the person she's clinging to the most is Marlo, who is not a fan favorite by far. I mean, we don't even know why y'all gave her a pity peach in the first place. But Marlo was actually on her best behavior, showing up to things on time, apologizing. She did try to talk to, I forgot to mention, she tried to talk to Candy earlier. And she said, "Oh, Candy, did you see? Simon bought Portia a Rolls Royce. Did you see?" And Candy was like, "Girl, shut up." Started snapping on her and shut her down real quick. But I'm like, why is Portia on your, why would that be the icebreaker? Whew, I don't know. She thought they would bond over a dislike for Portia, but Candy don't care and ain't hearing it. And we even when Portia not there, she's still there. She'll be back. She'll be back next season, or maybe the season after that. Portia will be coming back. I guarantee it. But thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know how you felt in the comments, and I'll see you next time.